Hey, up a little later than usual. It is 9:32. First sip of the day. Cheers. A little stiff today. A little strong. I probably need it. Hey, folks. So I did the Big Al podcast last night in Omaha, and it was a blast. I will leave the link. People, I tell you, I love people, and that's why That's why I keep good boundaries. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time for assholes, but I love people, and Al's a good person. I met Al probably 20 or so years ago, and he always struck me as a character as like, what's up with this guy? He's kind of like, if anyone watching here knows who Al Hatfield is, you know what I'm talking about. He has long hair, and he comes across real bombastic, and also sometimes almost autistic, like he's in a world of his own. I'm really glad I did the podcast because I got to find out why that is. He is a self-made person. He is from Nebraska. I didn't think he was from Nebraska, but it turns out that he went out to the West Coast and hustled his way into Hollywood and worked there for 20 years as a line producer, director, and all sorts of other stuff, while he was working on becoming a bodybuilder, a surfer, and all this other stuff. I didn't know anything about that, but once it all came out, it made sense. And talking to him in his home, he's an intelligent man. I always respected him. I've said that about him. I said, I respect you because I told you I work with him. He does good things. But now I understand more fully. He's not a flake at all. It's funny. When I got there, I took a bag of my music, thinking that's what we would talk about. I wasn't sure. We did talk about music, but we talked about a lot of stuff. And he shared with me his background, and he gave me a copy of his movie, Killing Diva, on VHS. I don't have a VHS anymore. I gave it to Greg Eklund's son when he lived in town. But this is interesting. I didn't know anything about this back in the 90s. I would probably not have wanted to be involved. But I see that Paul Murky, the guitar player in REF, his ex-wife that's his ex-wife in the movie. The band Ravine, who I know all those guys, Mike Sackler, Eric Ebers, they do the music. And he gave me the soundtrack. And if you see this, Al, I'm honest. This is not it's very forgettable, Too bad you didn't, I'll be real blunt, too bad you didn't know me to ask me to do the music. Probably wouldn't have wanted to. This is a horror film. I don't like horror. We talked about that, I'll leave the link. It was a good hour. And we talked about, I loved his questions because he asked some deep questions, and he asked about social issues. He asked about my experience with politics, with the assassination of JFK and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Kennedy's, Martin Luther King. We talked about AI. We talked about things that people consider conspiracy theories, and I was happy to share with him and to also hear from him as an intelligent man that that's all manipulation, smoke and mirrors being done by people who own media. The 1/10% do that with the media because they can manipulate stupid people, and the majority of people are stupid, not smart. If the majority of people were stupid, we wouldn't have the political mess that we have now. If the majority of people were awake and more aware, we wouldn't be fighting wars. We're pretty stupid. It was a great time. So I took music to show, and I gave him a copy of Interlude. I wanted him to have it. So I gave him a copy of that. Funny, I took the stuff over. This is the bag. I got to put it away, but took the stuff over in my Bowie bag. You've got some record. You know how record stores give you those bags. I have a collection. But I took some stuff, and I took a copy to give to him of Interlude. But he bought RAF, the album. I didn't know the connection that he had with Paul and Michelle. And I took a copy of my album, Future Still, to show he bought it. Cheers. It's a good conversation. It is. Watch it. I'll leave the link. And relating to music, I did go to the record stores yesterday. This has been, I guess the way that I'm looking at it is that, okay, now I'll call these self-Christmas presents. Whatever. Updates on used records from Homer's and Grapefruit prompted me to go down yesterday, and I'm very glad that I did. And I'll show you what I got. And I was thinking about doing an extra step here, but I'll explain as I go. So the record that got me to, I asked them to hold this for me. I saw this in the Homer's update, and I said, I've had this since it came out. It came out on CD in 1990. Yep, 1990, Where the Pyramid Meets the Eye, tribute to Rocky Erickson. Overall, this is very good. There's some throwaways on here, but I wanted this for the Julian Cope alone. That his version of I Have Always Been Here Before is excellent. I love it on here. But the other standouts on here, there's two other big standouts on this for me. Primal Scream, Slip Inside This House, very cool. And the Judy Bats, She Lives in a Time of Her Own. When I heard this, I liked it so much that I went out and bought some Judy Bats CDs. I don't have them anymore because it was like a passing, it's like, yeah, this is good. And then it was like, okay, that's done. I'm done. Oh, let me get some more coffee. Yeah, the conversation with Al was invigorating. I know that some of you people would like to talk to me, but the way to go about that is if you have a channel on here and you want to invite me as a guest, do that. But I'm not interested in taking up email conversations with people. And people want to, but I don't know. Have me as a guest on your channel, and we can talk. The other thing is I challenged Al, because I said, Al, I'll talk about anything. I'm pretty clear with my life, including all the warts and stuff that that you keep to yourself because it's low points or just embarrassing things. But I said, you can try to throw me under the bus. I'll talk about anything, Al. Go for it. He said that's not his style, but I'm open, people. I like people and I enjoy conversation, so hit me up. So good. So what I was thinking about doing was I bought a couple records yesterday but I wasn't going to buy them because I thought I already had them. And I checked Discogs, which is getting better because I'm trying to upload on I'm not going to tell you my Discogs site. You can find it if you want to, but sometimes I feel like people are too nosy. You can find that out if you want. But a couple of records I bought yesterday, I bought because I had thought I had them, looked, and I didn't have them. And so but this next one wasn't one. But it's interesting to me how stuff comes up in the used. So the other day I bought this in the used section at Homer's, Fever Ray. Yesterday at Grapefruit, they had The Knife, live at Terminal 5 in the used section. So I grabbed it. I like these folks. Her voice is strange. I don't know what this is about, but it intrigues me, and the music is good enough to investigate. I don't know what this is about, and their visuals. I like, as I told you, I like visuals. I like art. So I played one side of this. Nice purple vinyl. That's always a plus for me. And I like it. I do. I like it. And they all the records I have by them have big posters. I don't know what you're supposed to do with them. You know, who puts up posters except for kids? I don't know. So I got that. At Grapefruit, I went to both Grapefruit and Homer's. So here's a mix. So Pyramid Meets the Eye was Homer's. The Knife was Grapefruit. This was Homer's. Last time I was down at Homer's, I passed on this. I thought I had this. I did have it. I thought I had it. Canadian French folk rock band, Cano. I think these stand for some like Canadian artists, something thing. Nord de Notre Vie. I thought I had this. They have 6 albums, and I have 4 of them. I ended up with them because of the one album that has a real cool cover. That's the first one I found used, and it just looked like something I'd like. And sure enough, there's one track on that saves it, because this is interesting to me. This band is very much a cultural thing. It's like they're a folk rock band, so they'll be playing these really cool songs, and then they'll do some kind of jig stuff that to me is so corny, but it is obviously connected to their culture, and that's why they put them together. This is a good album, and it's proggy enough. I like the female's vocals. I like her voice. It's proggy enough that it saves it. That's why I've kept them all these years, because when I play them, it's the sort of record that I'll skip. Okay, here's that corny shit. I'm skipping that, you know. Whatever they're singing about is probably something that everyone is into in that culture. It means nothing to me, so I skip to the next good musical section. Good album. Glad I bought it. And it was cheap. Like $5.99. Back to Grapefruit. Now, this Grapefruit showed some records. This was shown in the update, but this is not the one that got me to go. I thought I had this already. And when I was down there, I was passing over it until I said, I better check. I didn't have it on vinyl. I have it on CD. Major score here. Major score. I was thinking of grabbing all their other records to show you. I bet a lot of you don't know about this band. Art Zoyd from France. There's a correlation to the band Universe Zero. Excuse me. They've played shows together. They've had members in common. But I thought I had this. This is a first run. This is not a reissue. This is the first issue of their album, Musique pour l'Odyssée. This is some heavy, dark, modern chamber classical music mixed with rock. It's heavy. It's not easy listening, but it's intense and fantastic. And the band are excellent. Thierry Zabotsev, violin, cello, bass, etc. We're friends on Facebook. I've talked to Guy and him about maybe coming on the channel. He's not really interested right now, but kind of a friend. But this is Atem. These records are hard to find. That's a first run Atem. So actually, Mike, one of the guys that owns Grapefruit, said to me he thought this was one of the records that brought me down there. I said, actually, it wasn't. I thought I already owned it. I'll show the one that got me to go down there in a minute. I'm glad, though. I checked, and it's like, ooh, this is going home. Art Zoyd. Expose yourself to Art Zoyd. Find out about that band. Back to Homer's. Here's one that's been sitting there for a while, and I decided for these reasons to grab it. It was another $5.99 used record. It was one that I just usually just completely just overlook, and it just hit me that this is an important album. Herbie Mann, Stone Flute. A couple things. Herbie Mann, I forget his ethnicity. I think he's possibly Jewish, but behind the scenes, Herbie Mann has opened a lot of doors for a lot of people of color and a lot of people who would never have had a chance in the music industry. He did things behind the scenes. Great man. He started this label Embryo. This is the first, correct me if I'm wrong, discography freaks, but I think this is the first release on his label Embryo. 1970, Stone Flute. I shared this on line yesterday, and I was actually surprised at how many people kind of went gaga over this. This is a must-hear album. Frankly, now that I have it and heard it, I know why. I have other Herbie Mann records. This is really good and real. There's a bunch of blues on it, which again, he does his best to make it interesting. I just give a fuck. So I skipped the blues. It starts with In Tangier, which Michael P. Dawson shared he shared his story on Facebook about it's off of Donovan's album, but it's not credited to Donovan on here. But the album starts with that, and it's wonderful. It's all meditative and loose and beautiful. Side 2 saves it because the rest of side 1 is blues for the most part. But this is a real good album, and I only have a few Embryo releases. If I was rich, I would do what some people do. I would set up rooms where I'm collecting all of this label and that label and this artist and that artist. I would do it. This would be one of the labels I would do it with. Embryo. Very interesting label. Much better album than I was prepared for. I knew that Herbie Mann had gravitas and that he was not fake. When Memphis Underground, when that album came out, you folks my age remember when that came out? It was a phenomenon. It was like it was a hit, but it also got people listening to music in a new way. Don't have that album anymore. Of course, it's one of those albums that, in some ways, when you're a record collector like me, there's some records that you're going to end up with at some point, even if you don't keep them, like Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. I don't have it, but have I ever had a copy? Yes. Did I buy it? No. But it's like it was everywhere, so that, you end up with a copy. People give you records. I've had the luck of coming across records thrown away in a dumpster before. A couple times, and it's usually a lot of junk, but it's still, wow, free records. And sure enough, that's where you see all these Billy Joel and Fleetwood Mac records in the dumpster. Okay, back to Homer's. Great guitarist. I've never seen him play, but I think he's very good. John Scofield, who came to my attention through playing with Miles Davis. This is one of his early solo albums, Electric Outlet. So I grabbed this because this is going to be quality music. There's going to be some playing there, and I've already listened to part of it. And yeah, you're going to hear some good playing, good writing, and good ensemble playing. Quality music, okay? Almost done here. Back to Grapefruit. I was happy. When I saw this in their update, I didn't see the price, so I didn't know if they were going to try, if this was going to be, more pricey or not. But I've been after this band. They have 2 albums from the 60s and 70s. Ford Theater. This is their second album, Time Changes. I was glad this was cheap. But it's in great shape. Their album is in perfect condition. This is psychedelic and also pop. these guys can play. This is a concept album. They present it as Time Changes, a new musical. There's even narrative. Um, it starts off with a classical flourish. Don't remember the composer they're ripped from. This is good. I only listen to one side. This is very good. I'm glad I bought it. Their first album, which has a gray cover and is cool looking, I want that too. Even more so now that I've heard this as a needle drop. I've heard the other album, but this is very good. It's so good, it's like, why didn't this hit? I mean, this is almost like moving into the area of like Beatles. Very, very melodic, very inventive. This is the last one, and this is the last one. This is the one that they showed in the grapefruit update that said, I got to go down and get that. I see the price. I don't care. It's like, this is one where it's fuzzy. Did I actually ever own this? I know I've always been after a copy. So if I owned it and I don't anymore, I don't know why. I think it's ones I've just always been after, and now I finally, after all this time, got a copy of it. Not on Vertigo, but on Polydor. Even the Polydor, the American release of this is expensive. Gravy Train, English band that was on the cusp of blues rock, prog rock, heavy rock, with flute. This is really good. The vocals, and I have their second album, which is even better, on a burned CD. This is really good, really imaginative, and just what a great cover. Yep, Hypnosis. Who else? I think it's one of their iconic covers. And yeah, I paid for this, not exorbitant, but it was like, yeah, I'll pay that for this. I want this. And it's in excellent condition. Excellent condition. Excuse me. So there you have some new music, and the time just, I'll be thinking I'm just talking for a couple of minutes, and I look and it's 20 minutes already. I'll encourage you again to go and watch the Big Al podcast with me and Big Al. And if you have a channel, invite me. I'll Zoom with you. Before I go, I'll show a record that I pulled, thinking that this might be ready to go, and it's not. It's techno, and some techno is sounding dated to me. I love electronic music, but some techno is corny and shitty, and it's made for people who are out of their mind on drugs, so they just want to dance. They don't care. I hate that shit, okay? And I thought this might be that, but it's not. This is really good. Dave Ellesmere, Angry Young Computer. This is that burbling, bubbling techno that you want to listen to more than dance to. Loved this. This is real good. So back to the Big Al thing. I meant to look up, and maybe I can just get it done right quick while I'm talking here. Al shared with me that I did not know his background in the in movies and TV. That he worked literally in Hollywood for 20 years. He shared with me. So I'm looking him up, see if I can find him right quick. Yeah, here he is on IMDb. IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, and his page. The only thing on here, okay, come on now. This is the only one that's on here. He says that he also worked as a line director. I think that's the correct, on LAPD, the TV show. He said that he was on that for several seasons. Interesting cat. So, a very enjoyable conversation. And I was, as always, I'm honest about my opinion. I said that I do perceive, and I think correctly, how the media that we all rely on for information and entertainment is completely compromised and manipulated by the corporate owners. They have the editorial power to say, this goes out, this does not go out. You don't cross this line. And this is real because the people that work for them, they want to get paid. You know, Spider-Man, the comic book Spider-Man, frankly, as a kid, opened my eyes to that with the editor, was his name Jameson, who was always, making, run this, don't run that, say it like this, don't say it like that. And then how it was real common saying, if it bleeds, it leads. Well, it's really true, Keep us distracted, keep us traumatized, keep us off balance, so that we can't really see what's going on, so that the game can continue. Why would any of you who watch this channel want the political quagmire that we live in now? Why would you want it to continue? Why do you want it to get worse? Why would you want a psychopathic baby asshole as a wannabe dictator president again? Why would you want that? People are fucking nuts. So that's what I got for you today, people. Talk to me. Stephanie, love you. Kareem, you there? Good luck on that job. Take care, people.